Hey, welcome back to Ryfield Studios.
Welcome.
We got Ben here, we got me here, and we have a special guest today, Karl Sloman.
Yes,
Hey, guys.
sir.
You guys tune into this episode because we're going to get to know Karl, and then he's going to play a little fucking song for us at the end.
That's right.
Check it out.
Show us how it's done, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
about that. I'll show you how I do it.
Yeah. Well, that's how
So-
it gets done around here.
Karl Sloman, if you guys are wondering who he is, author of the book Coordination Code.
Yep.
To be bought or purchased at fine bookstores anywhere. It is on Amazon.com. Check it out. It's revolutionary, and I'm not kidding when I
Yeah.
say that. These guys will tell you more about it in a minute.
Absolutely.
But yeah, also you can get hold of me on Facebook under Karl Sloman. I do online drum lessons if anyone's interested, and we can chat more about that later. But that's the book. Thank you.
Awesome.
Karl is also owner of the Wizard.
No, I'm the owner of the London College of Contemporary Music. I used to own the Wisdom
Wisdom,
Academy.
sorry.
Okay.
So
So it was Wisdom Academy.
It was Wisdom Academy. And what's interesting is Jordan Rudess, the keyboardist from Dream Theater,
Yep.
started up Wisdom Studios. And he did it after me. So lawsuit is pending.
And where's that located?
Downstate somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Hey,
It doesn't matter.
it's just Jordan Rudess of Dream Theater.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
cares? He's a nobody.
No big deal, eh? No big deal at all.
Yeah, and nobody.
That's hilarious.
Play in a band, Opus Rex.
Yep.
Opus Rex.
And there's our CD. You can buy this at fine record stores. Okay, let's forget that. Yeah, it's a good CD.
Yeah, it is good, man. Yeah.
What else do we got? Tell us a little bit more about yourself, Karl. I got
What about some
research
back-
on you, but
Yeah,
I
what
feel
ab-
like you can just...
Sure.
What about some background stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Karl Sloman. Actually, my name is actually Fitzgerald Sloman, but it's too much of a mouthful, so I just go by Karl Sloman. I'm a musician. I'm a military officer in the Canadian Forces. I hold the rank of captain. I have been into music my entire life. I love
on.
everything about it. I was so lucky to meet Ben and Shane today. What great guys. The studio
you.
is fantastic.
Well, thank you for that.
That's awesome. Thanks.
So a bit about me. I started as a classically trained pianist back in when I was 7. I'm now 59 years of age in 4 days. So that was a long time
Yeah.
ago. That's before we had things like CDs and all
Right.
the rest.
Karl's been around the block.
Yeah.
More than one way. Actually, on the military side, I did serve in operations during the Cold War in Germany. I was also
wow.
in Bosnia.
Holy shit.
So I've seen action. I've actually
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
military action.
Right on.
But back to the music side, because that's what we're here for. It's the most important. Yeah, so I started out in piano. When I got to the age of 13, I found I wasn't really into piano anymore.
Sure, right.
And it's funny. The reason was my music teacher, I went to her and I said, I'd like to play Beatles music. Mm-hmm. And she said, but that's not part of the Western Conservatory of Music.
Sure.
And I said, fine, I quit. Because
Right.
I wanted to play
Right.
Beatles music.
Rock and roll.
Right.
So I took up playing drum set because I thought, well, if I want to play Beatles and I play the drum set, no one can tell me I can't do those two things together because they go
Right,
together.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a long-ranging issue I've had with the classically trained environment. Not everyone in the classical realm, but they see much of rock music as being irrelevant and not
Right.
valid. And I
Right.
tend to disagree with that.
Me too.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that
yeah,
on
we-
an episode a little bit ago. But
Yeah, totally. And again, it's not everyone in that genre, but
Right.
too many people disrespect the beauty and the complexity
Right.
of good rock and roll.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about simple stuff. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
the progressive guys and everything else.
Yeah.
So I moved over to the drums, and I started in a Scottish pipe band in Strathroy, Ontario, as a side drummer. At the same time, I found guitar and really liked guitar, so I started playing guitar as well.
Right.
And then I moved to bass, and then when I went to Saunders Secondary School out of London, Ontario,
Oh, yeah.
I started being classically trained on the tuba. And now I play about 15 instruments altogether.
Wow.
But my primary is drum set. And so I played a lot of Beatles music in the early days. I loved Ringo Starr. He was
Yeah.
my first hero. And as I was telling, one of my students is here with me today. When we were on the way up here, I was telling her about what had happened with my development as a drummer. And so I played a lot of Rolling Stones, Beatles, stuff like that. And
Right.
then in 1981, I'll never forget, I was in the band room at Saunders Secondary School, and there was one of the percussionists there, and he said, "Hey, Karl, what's this?" And he played this pattern, and it was like, holy crap.
Right.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't know." He said, "It's Tom Sawyer by Rush."
Oh yeah.
Within the month, I had all of Rush's albums. And now we're talking back in 1981, so it's everything up to moving pictures.
Right. Right.
I went out and bought a drum set, and I said, "I'm going to learn to play that song."
yeah.
And after about 2 years of practice, because again, we didn't have all the resources we have today.
Yep.
It was take the needle on the record,
Sure, yeah.
put it back,
Yeah,
listen to
right.
it again and
Yeah.
again and again.
The struggle.
Yeah.
And once I got the song down, my drumming had progressed dramatically.
Right.
Like I was now what I would consider
Right.
a good player. You have to be to play that song.
Well, I mean,
that's- I was
if
just-
you're starting with that song,
Yeah. If that's
Yeah.
your
If
that's
that's your
North
goal
Star,
and you,
yeah.
you get to it. And now in my music school, every one of my students, to get to their black belt, because we use the belt system to teach our people,
Sure.
to
Yeah.
get the black belt, you must play Tom Sawyer.
Right.
That's just the rule.
That's it.
So when I got into it, then I started to get, okay, well, now I can play that. Let's do YYZ.
Right.
And then once I got that, it was, okay, now live La Strangiata. So I eventually got into all the different Rush forms.
Yeah, for sure.
And that propelled me for years, just trying to get the skills to be able to
Right.
count in odd time signatures and
Yeah.
play all of the music.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, I collared onto Dream Theater. After I'd done my tour in Bosnia, I discovered Dream Theater while I was serving in Bosnia.
Right on.
And I came back. That was at the turn of the century. That would have been 2000. And when I came back, I got fully ensconced into Dream Theater.
Right.
And then that led to Tool.
Yeah.
And then that led to Devin Townsend. And the word
Yeah.
goes on. So I am very much a drummer of the progressive metal
Right.
and heavy metal side.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
mean, I played in numerous country bands and all the rest. I'm fine. That's
Yeah.
great. But my love is in progressive metal.
Right
you can tell who your influence is.
Yeah.
In your,
Just by
Your band.
and for those of you
Yeah.
when you hear me play later on, you'll see those influences coming through.
Yeah.
Just the way I create
You will,
the
yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
So that's me on the musical side.
Cool.
I've been in the Canadian Forces for 34 years. I retire this time next year. I retire.
Right
and
on.
then I intend to carry on with another job and run my school and just keep doing things.
Right
so
on.
that's me in a nutshell
Yeah.
on the music side, which is again why we're here and what's
Sweet.
important.
yeah. Awesome. And thanks for coming, Karl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's great.
for yeah.
It's great.
Thanks for being here.
Some of the influences and impacts that I've had as well. And I tell everyone out there right now, this is important. And I'm going to look at you all and I'm going to tell you this right now. Back in 2002, I was a complete unknown. Nobody knew who I was. I was just a guy who played drums. And I sought after one of the top drummers in the world. His name is Dom Famularo. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's known as the global ambassador of drumming. Amazing player. I started taking drum lessons in New York City with Dom. Within about 2 years, I had endorsements from Vic Firth Company.
Right on.
I then got endorsements from Dream Cymbals. I was with Evans Drumheads, Tama Drum Set, the whole works.
Yeah. Damn.
I then became published with my book by 2012, and I never thought I would publish a book.
Right.
And I knew all of these famous drummers. Kenny Arnoff. Again, if you don't know any of these drummers, look them up. But, Kenny Arnoff, Greg Bissonette, Mike Mangini, just superb players
Yeah.
who inspired me to carry on and learn more and more.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
expanded my palette on the instrument, and dare I say, a number of them became friends of mine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For me, my greatest love as far as drummer is a gentleman by the name of Thomas Lang. Incredible player. There's nothing that guy can't play. And so I'm very inspired by drummers who do things that I cannot do, which is
Right.
a lot of them. But
Yeah.
to be fair, there's a lot that I can do as well. But yeah, the inspiration should be always keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you can't do it.
Right.
9 times out of 10, the reason a drummer cannot do what a drummer needs to do is simply ignorance. And I don't mean that in a negative sense.
Right.
They just don't know.
Right.
Find yourself a good teacher. Expose yourself to all kinds of music. If you never listen to King Crimson or early
Right.
Genesis or anything,
Yeah.
listen to these bands.
Yep.
It will then inspire you to move forward and get better and better
Right.
and better.
Right.
Because again, I just like the rest of you when I started doing boom, ta, boom. That was hard.
Yeah.
So any of us can do it. It just takes a proper practice technique. It takes understanding the instrument and loving the instrument for what it is.
Yeah.
I got my degree in history from University of Western Ontario years and years ago, and it gave me a true love and appreciation for history.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The history of the drum set is incredible. And for those of you who are drummers or any musicians at all, it's really important to understand the rhythmic development of what we've been through. And the drums, because it's a new instrument, it was only invented in 2004, 2005. It's arguable when it actually came together. It's a relatively young instrument.
Right.
The history is incredible of the instrument, though. And I would argue that between 1980 and today, there's been more advances on the drum set than any other instrument. Because back in the 70s, you could get by playing boom, ta, boom, ta.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't cut it today.
Now it's...
And
Everybody knows
1980s
that.
is when that all started changing. And I would argue it was because of bands like Rush.
Right.
Where you had Neil Peart coming up with parts that nobody had ever even dreamed of in the Rush world.
that's
really
right.
pushing that envelope, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he started to influence guys like Mike Portnoy and Danny Carey, who took the mantle and ran with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did what he did and
And
went
they've
further.
all been inspired. You know, if you watch Metallica,
Yep.
totally inspired by Rush.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of the lead guitarist's name in Metallica.
Kirk or
Hammett.
James? Yeah, Kirk.
Kurt Hammett, not
Yep.
James.
Yeah.
But Kurt Hammett, he says, Rush was huge
Yeah.
to me.
Oh, yeah.
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 They should inspire all of your listeners and all of
Yeah.
you who are watching this video to get into this stuff. It will make a big impact on your life. And don't let people go, oh, well, that's crap music. It doesn't matter. It's what inspires you. On the way up here today, I was listening to Rammstein for most of the way up here. Great band.
Yeah.
You may not
Sick
like them,
band.
and it's fine.
I love them.
But it gives you a new taste.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, totally.
Expand your musical ear palette. If that's
your
a thing,
horizon.
right?
How can you do something if you're not familiar with it?
Exactly.
And, you know, an example, there's a gentleman by the name of Tommy Igo. Go and check him out. He has a poster called Groove Essentials. And on there's everything from sambas, the nanagos, the funk music, rock music, all these different genres. And I can play both of his posters complete, and my students are taught the same thing. He says on his videos, and I agree with him, if you want to play a samba well, you listen to Tito Puente. Again, go and look at Tito Puente up.
Right.
But if you want something that's authentic, and even if you say to yourself, oh, I'm never going to play that music, watch out.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where I was playing in 10-piece Latin bands. I'd never played Latin music before. I thought a samba was just a sped up bossa nova.
Right.
It's important that you develop yourself and learn as much as you can about the instrument, the history of the instrument, and how to play. And here's one of the big things I'll pass on to all of you as well. Technique.
Right.
Most drummers have terrible technique.
I'm probably one of them.
And that's fine. And hey, you're not alone. And I was the same. Back in 2003, before I started studying with Dom Famularo and Jim Chapin and guys of this nature, my technique was poor. How do I know I had poor technique? Well, I had blisters on my hands.
Right.
I've never broken a cymbal, but I came close to breaking a cymbal. But I used to go through 2 or 3 sets of drumsticks a night.
Right.
I would break drum heads. Take a look there, Shane, at my hand. Do you see any blisters or any marks on that at all? No. Any calluses? Guys, I'm a heavy metal drummer. My skin is like a baby's bum.
Yeah.
It's so soft. And that's all because of technique. I don't break drum heads anymore. I don't break drumsticks. I'm lucky if I go through a set of drumsticks every 6 months. And I'm playing Iron Maiden and Rush and bands like this. It's all technique.
It's all about
so
proper,
if you've got calluses or blisters, there's something wrong with your playing. You need to get to someone who understands this stuff because you will protect not only your drum kit, but more importantly, you'll protect yourself.
Right.
And when all is said and done, if I destroy these, I can't get them back.
Right.
Phil Collins destroyed his back. Why? Well, because of poor posture while playing the drums.
Right.
Neil Peart started with arthritis in his hands. Now, I'm not saying bad technique caused that, but it didn't help it.
Right.
So we as musicians, particularly as drummers, we're all about, oh yeah, I've got the latest set of DW drums and I use this and I use that. That's all great.
Yeah.
What are you doing for yourself?
Yeah. Right.
You got to look after yourself, not only physically, but mentally.
Right.
I just finished a lesson before I got here, and we can discuss this in a few minutes.
Sure.
I work a lot with disabled people, and I was teaching a young lady. She's in her 50s. That's young. I'm in my 50s. And she's confined to a wheelchair, and we were
Right.
playing today. And one of the things she struggles is with the psychological part
Right.
of the drumming. And I'm sure Shane and I'm sure Ben, you on guitar have had this where you get up and you're going to play something that's, I don't know if I can pull this off.
Yeah. Oh.
And that's surefire way of not being able to pull it off.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to go in there saying to yourself,
I got this.
I'm going to rip this.
Yeah.
And if I don't rip it, it's going to be a total disaster.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
going to be cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be funny. So
Yeah,
That's still good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Usually works out too.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's important to have those concepts that as musicians, if we make mistakes, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Every time I sit at the drum set, I make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm an experienced drummer.
Yeah. That's how you learn, right?
That's totally it. Is you will learn often by many people wiser than me. You learn by your mistakes, not
Yeah.
by your successes.
Yeah.
It's when you really fuck something up.
Yeah.
That's what sticks in your head,
Yeah.
and you don't do it again.
Yeah,
Whereas,
exactly.
yeah, okay, if you're doing well, okay, well,
You know how many
everything's
times
cool.
I've learned that way?
Oh.
Well, it's
the ol-
helpless, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 But it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, you better believe it does.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Going back to your, taking care of yourself. What do you think about playing with drum gloves and stuff? Have you ever?
Don't need them.
You don't need them.
No, don't need them.
I see a lot of drummers playing with them.
Yeah, and well, I think Tommy Lee used to use them.
Yeah,
I don't
oh,
know
yeah.
if Matt Sorm from
Vinnie Paul.
Vinnie Paul from Pantera. used
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do 'em,
they're
yeah.
all used to him. And who am I to argue?
Right.
Yeah.
They're great drummers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And here's another thing, guys. For those of you who are down on people like Lars Ulrich and Tommy Lee
Yeah.
and all the rest, how much money have they made playing drum set, and how much
Exactly.
money have you made playing drum set?
Exactly.
Before you're too hypercritical about these guys,
Yeah.
they put it out there.
Exactly.
And I'll get back to the drum glove thing in a minute because I tend to meander.
Oh, that's
and
all
wander. But I mostly respect drummers that do their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great that you can do covers. And don't get me wrong. Hey, if you do Tom Sawyer well,
That's awesome.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's
Or if
sweet.
you do, if any of those who are of you are into Dream Theater, if you can do Hell's Kitchen or any of their more complex pieces, yeah, you've got my attention. Or if you can do Numa or
Yeah.
Vicarious by Tool,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you're a good drummer.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. So you've now learned to copy someone else.
But can you write it?
What
Yeah.
what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you have wrote that the same way?
Yeah, what came out of your brain? What is
Right.
your creativity?
Yeah.
What says your name is stamped on it?
Yeah.
And it can be something as you might do, boom, da, boom, boom, da.
Yeah.
Great. You did that.
That's yours. Yeah. You did that.
And no one can take that away from
Yeah.
you. But sorry for meandering,
No.
getting back to the glove
It's
side.
all good.
For me, I don't like using gloves because I don't like anything getting between me and the tactile feel of a drumstick.
Yeah. You like.
Right.
I like the feel of the wood in my hands.
Right.
Right.
That's just
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
When I feel the vibration of the drum stick as I'm playing, I know whether I'm playing at the right volume or not.
Right.
I know whether I'm giving it the appropriate sensitivity. When I do what's called a free stroke or molar, and I'm not going to go into that, but if you invite me back, I'll do an entire presentation on molar technique for you.
We may end
Absolutely.
up doing that.
But when you're moving your stick and throwing it down and letting the stick rebound in your hand, that feel is critically important.
Right.
Yeah. I
Now,
can understand
if I'm
that for
just
sure.
driving things,
Yeah.
that feeling may not be as important because that's what the music is demanding from me.
Right.
And the gloves can rightly protect your hands.
Sure.
That's
But
Vinnie
again,
Paul.
where's the subtlety to that?
Right.
And again, I am not for a second dissing someone like Vinnie Paul.
Oh,
who
yeah.
I just
Oh, yeah.
blown away by the guy's
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah.
He chooses to wear them. I don't. But the question is why does he wear them? Is he using it to protect his hands?
Could be
if
for
you're using it
grip.
to protect your hands, let's go back to technique.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Because I can show you methods where you can play Slayer
Yeah.
all day long
Yeah.
and you will not have a blister
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You need a few Red Bulls though if you're gonna play Slayer all day long.
Well, some cocaine would help as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
sure of that.
supporting drug use, everyone, so please don't go down that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
But yes, actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, and here again is an example. I was the world record holder for continuous drumming. It's online if you put in my
damn.
name, Karl
Didn't know
Sloman.
that.
Yeah, you'll see back in 2004, I played the drum set for 60 hours straight.
60.
60
Holy.
hours straight. And I wasn't playing to Madonna. I was playing Dream Theater and Triumph and
60 hours.
Rush. Yep. In fact, the entire final hour, the 59th hour to the 60th hour, I played 1 hour straight of Rush music. That's all I played.
Just a big hoorah.
At the end of it, no blisters. I went through one pair of drumsticks.
Right.
The drumstick I ended up with were the ones I started the 60 hours.
Damn.
My drum set was in mint condition. I'd replaced all the heads. You wouldn't have known anyone had really
Right.
even been playing on them. That was after 60 hours of
Damn.
playing.
Yeah.
That's the power of technique.
Right.
And unfortunately for many drummers, and guitarists go with this as well. You want
Yep.
to play like Yngwie Malmsteen? There are techniques you use.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just practice.
that's right.
You know, it drives me nuts when I'll go online and someone will turn around and they'll ask the question, look, I can't play Black Star by Yngwie Malmsteen. How do I learn to play that?
Right.
And someone will give a stupid response of, just practice more. That is
Yeah.
totally useless to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not about practice, it's about what technique are you
Yeah.
using
And
to play this. And he uses something called slant picking, which my business partner, a gentleman by the name of Graham Floyd,
Yep.
best guitarist I know,
Yep.
he does slant picking.
Right.
And without doing slant picking, you can't do what Malmsteen does
Right.
because of the sheer speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look
But
at
then you're down to practicing slant picking.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, you practice, but to say, well, just practice.
Yeah.
Well, practice what?
Right.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
where it goes down
Yes,
to.
Practice
George Callias
technique.
from Nile.
Yep.
Oh,
he can
man.
play double bass drums at 320 beats a minute.
And
Insane.
He doesn't do that by practice.
Yeah.
There's technique involved.
Yeah.
And if you watch his ankles, they're rotating
Yeah.
as he's playing. Now I'm not going to get into that,
Okay.
but there's dangers to doing that.
Okay.
So this again is why I'm such a supporter of lessons. I think, and I still take drum lessons to this day. I saw Dom a couple of weeks ago in New York City, and we did an online drum lesson together.
Sweet.
The biggest challenge about taking drum lessons is finding a good teacher.
Right.
I'm sorry, everyone, a 17-year-old, and please, 17-year-olds, do not take offense to this. It's not your fault. A 17-year-old kid working out of his parents' basement is less likely to have the skill sets to train you.
Right.
As someone of my age, when you Google my name, you see that I've studied with some of the
Right.
greats.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
People think that hitting a drum is just taking a stick and banging. No, it's not. There's a lot more to it. And as many of my students will tell you, it takes you years,
Right.
even with instruction, of learning how to do it properly.
Right.
Because there's no true proper way.
Sure.
There are just some things that help you to progress better and some that make you not progress as well. So getting back to the gloves thing.
Right.
I don't use gloves because I find it impedes my technique.
Right. You've practiced your technique enough. You don't need it.
I've done it. I don't think I need them. But
Right.
again, I would have to talk to Vinny and say, why do
Yeah.
you wear gloves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he might say, because I like the look of them.
Yeah.
Right on.
Could
We're
be,
good to
right?
go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my feeling on the gloves issue.
He's not saying that anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I remember watching an old. Well, I have them at home, like the Pantera Vulgar videos from Hell or whatever. It's like a
Yep.
behind the scenes thing or whatever. And
Yep.
yeah, Vinny peels one of his gloves off, and it's just all callous, all.
And there's the
peeling.
problem.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a slight against Vinny. It's
It's-
not at all.
yeah.
It's just you don't have to have that happen to your hands. I think it was Travis Barker, someone who from Blink 182,
Yeah.
who I another guy I admire. If you don't know who Travis Barker is, please go online,
Yeah.
put his name in. Brilliant drummer.
But he had even gone in.
He's cool.
He had even gone in because his wrists were getting messed up.
Yes,
from
yeah.
his technique, right?
Well, here's a real live example of someone where this happened. Kenny Aronoff. Kenny Aronoff used to play with John Cougar Mellencamp. He's played with Smashing Pumpkins. He
Yeah.
was, for a while, the most sought-after studio drummer out there.
Session drummer, right?
Yeah, brilliant player. And I've met him a number of times. Great guy. He loves the fact I'm in the military, and he calls me 6'6". He's a great guy. Anyway, Kenny was having problems with his wrists. He was getting a lot of soreness. And believe it or not, he was hitting the drum so hard. He's a Tama endorser.
Right.
He was actually breaking die-cast rims.
Oh.
Now, I know many of you may not know what die-cast rims are. just let me say, they're rims that are built like a tank.
Right.
I've never even come close to breaking a die-cast rim. In
Right.
fact, I'm not even sure how you can do them. And he was breaking die-cast rims. Anyway, he was having problems with his wrists. Jeez, I wonder why. So he went to the doctor.
Yeah.
They did blood tests, and they found ligaments from his wrists in his blood system.
Oh,
He was hitting so hard. So he went to Dom Famularo,
Sure.
because all of us know each other.
Right.
And he said, Dom, this is my problem. Can you help me out? And Dom said, you bet, I believe I can. And he put him straight on a diet of something called free strokes and molar technique. Kenny has now gotten over the pain. He now uses something called the molar technique, which is a whipping motion of the stick. He gets the same amount of power out of his playing. He doesn't break anything anymore.
more momentum instead of
Yeah. So this idea that you need blisters and stuff, and yeah, these are my trophies for how great I am, or
Yeah.
look at all the broken cymbals I have in my house. These are my trophies. I'm afraid your attitude needs a bit of a readjustment here, because if you're breaking things on your drum set, you're breaking things on yourself. And that worries me. And it's one of my biggest stresses as a drum instructor. And for my students, is I want them to play until their end of their life.
right.
Jim Chapin, one of my drum teachers, his son was Harry Chapin, did the song Cats in the Cradle.
Right.
Jim is one of the great drummers of the 20th century. Jim, when he died, I think he was 94 years of age. That morning, Dom Famularo went to visit him in palliative care.
Right.
And Jim was practicing on his practice pad.
No doubt.
On his last day on the planet.
To the end,
and Dom
man.
said, why are you, because
Yeah.
he was a traditional grip player where he played in asymmetric, and he had gone to match grip. And Dom said, why are you practicing this, Jim? And Jim said, because I want to be ready for the future.
Right.
That's the attitude that you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
man.
people who say, I am too old. If you have that mentality that you're too old, why don't you, and I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting you commit suicide, so
Oh,
don't take it
no.
this way.
Yeah, no,
But
no.
why are you carrying on if this is all there is? No, be
Yeah.
inspired. You can
going.
play the drums well into your 90s.
Yeah, man.
You may barely be able to
I've seen
walk,
it.
but put you behind the drum set, and
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's what we all want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, I have asthma. I don't let it slow me down. And when I
Right.
play later on today, you'll see
Yeah.
I don't let it get in the way of what I'm
Yeah.
doing, even though I have asthma.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
That's just a thing I've got to deal with. Fine.
yeah.
Carry
Just
on.
another thing, right?
Yeah.
Just another thing.
So
to
a
deal
lot
with.
of it, it's all mental.
Yeah.
How do you think? Do you look at the world positively?
Yeah.
Do you look at it negatively? It's easy to look at the world negatively.
It really is easy these days, right?
Everybody
is.
makes it easy.
And
oh yeah.
social media,
Yeah.
I think the internet is the greatest thing that was ever discovered. I also think it's one of our greatest threats.
Yeah.
Social media, of course, is very heavily behind us. But the problem or the challenge using social media is it gives a voice even to stupid people.
Right.
And I know that may sound offensive to some of you. I apologize up front. And at the same time, I don't apologize. There
Right.
are some really
Oh,
stupid
yeah.
people out there.
Yeah.
And the things they say and the things they do
Oh,
are
yeah.
hurtful. It's
Yep.
negative. And we get this continual bombardment of, I saw today, the CBC put out a thing, new deadlier strains of COVID may be on their way. Yeah, and we could get hit by a comet tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, anything is possible. I
Yeah.
could get hit by a truck on my way home today.
Exactly.
Am I going to worry about it? No. That's the way you want to think. Don't
Yeah.
let that get you down. And
Yeah.
we suffer a lot, and especially through these COVID times, it's been very hard on people, especially mentally. And
Yeah.
my heart goes
Oh,
out
yeah.
to people. But you have to own your destiny. You have to own yourself. And to do that, if you're a musician, listen to musicians that inspire you. Work
Yep.
hard at learning what they do.
Yep.
And become creative in your own right. And I can tell you, the easiest way to become creative is to listen to other people.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you both know. I would argue pretty well every drum pattern that's ever been created has been played already.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to come up with anything new.
Yeah, that's what I was
Exactly.
thinking. The one day I was laying in bed and I was thinking about that. I'm like, how do you come up with something new
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. So what
with,
you do
with
is you...
four limbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you start
Yeah.
combining things together. I've always thought that it would be great to do a blast beat based on a swing rhythm. So ting, ting, to ting, ting, to ting on the ride.
Right.
And meanwhile, underneath with your double bass, it's and you're going at 200 beats a minute,
Right.
but ting, ting, to ting, ting, to ting
Yeah.
with the ride cymbal. So now you've taken a swing pattern and made it
Yeah.
into a death metal pattern.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Death swing.
But How would I know about that unless I've listened to swing music?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
There's that ignorance thing. If you don't know, how are you going to do
Yeah.
it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly.
anyway, that's my feeling. But I would argue, and again, this is just my position, we are in the greatest time of human history ever right now. The most positive things are happening. I'm a huge Tesla fan. I just happen to love them. And with my asthma, I would like to get away from internal combustion engine cars.
Right.
If you take a look at the world and where we're going right now, other than politicians wanting to show off their penises to the world and show how tough they are by nuking one another,
Yeah. Pissing.
the rest of the
contest.
world is actually doing very well.
Yeah.
Our poverty rates have dropped dramatically. If you go back to the 1970s, poverty in the world over was about 80%. Now it's down to about 20%. Literacy rates, much, much higher now than they used to be. Childhood pregnancy, much, much lower than it used to be. The ability to produce food is much, much higher today. Violence is much, much lower. We are in a period right now where there are fewer wars happening now than throughout all of history. These are all good things, but why don't we hear about them?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sell.
Right.
So selling bad, I think they use the term, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Right.
So if there's blood involved or pedophilia or some awful thing is going on, that's what you get reported. And if you're spoon-fed that day in, day out,
It's going to make you negative, right?
it's going to,
Yeah.
That's where music comes into play and what we do.
Yeah.
Whether you're listening to Cannibal Corpse,
Hell yeah.
or you're listening to Dream Theater, or you're listening to Justin Bieber, I really don't care.
Right.
If it inspires you, makes you happy, listen to more of it.
Yeah.
Keep listening to it.
I feel like this is why our whole channel was started, because so many local bands have had such a shit time through all this.
Yeah.
And like us included.
Yo, absolutely.
So yeah, we just want to
it's a format, man. It's a
give all
place-
these bands a morale boost. Let them
Yeah.
have some spotlight time, right?
Well, and what you're doing is very noble. One of the challenges we have right now, here I'm going to use my age.
All right.
Because I've been playing drums for so long, I started playing professionally when I was about 18 years of age. So if you do the mathematics, we're looking at the early 80s was when I got it, maybe late 70s.
That's a haul. That's a lot.
I played in bands. We were getting $500 a night to play. Three
Back
nights
then?
in a row.
Yeah.
I could make a living off that.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend who played in 1966 on CKCO TV. He was a basic guitar player. He showed me the contract. They had a 3-month contract, $66,000 in 1966.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. He made it.
Yeah. And
Right.
he said, when I had quit my job, we worked, the reason I knew him, we worked at a firm together, and that will remain nameless. But he said to me, why don't you go and just do your music? You're freaking good as a drummer.
Yeah.
Why don't you go and do that? I said, because there's no money in it. And he was shocked.
Yeah.
He said, what do you mean there's no money in it?
Yeah.
And this was in it would have been the late 90s.
Right.
And I was already seeing that transference.
Yeah.
And one of the struggles for we in the music industry is music has become valueless.
Right.
You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
People don't go out to shows anymore, or most people don't. I've seen a massive change compared to when I was playing in the early days compared to what we're seeing now. And the challenge that you've got right now is, guys, if you're in this for the money, you're doing the wrong business.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not getting money.
No, you need to be in
You're
it
not
because you
getting money.
love it.
Yeah.
If the money
Yeah.
follows,
That's awesome.
wonderful.
But-
it's probably because you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll be part of it.
Love it
because you're
first, right?
passionate.
Right.
And
Love
there's
it
no
first.
guarantee, but you got to be doing it because you love to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the early part of the 20th century or 21st century, I'd say 2001, 2002, when I first opened up the Wisdom Music Academy,
Right.
I was running it out of my house. I had 144 students a week.
That's a
The
lot.
money I was making
Yeah.
was insane.
Yeah.
And part of it was because Guitar Hero had just come out and everyone wanted to play guitar.
Right
Great.
on.
Awesome. I teach guitar as well
Yeah.
as drums.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of money to be had. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's all gone.
It's flooded now,
So,
right?
but yet I still do what I do. Well, why do I do that? Because I love
Yeah.
music. It's
Yeah.
not about money. It's about the passion we have as
Exactly.
musicians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't you can't go into it with just trying to make a buck because you won't make
No,
just
and so it's just a bonus. My teacher Dom, he told me a very interesting story. He wrote a very good book called The Cycle of Self-Empowerment. I recommend, if you want to empower yourself, read that book. It's a wonderful book.
Right.
Anyway, when he was growing up, and this is the story he tells, it's not my story, it's his story. When he was about 18, he lives in New York City. He comes from an immigrant family of people from Italy.
Right.
So they're very conservative, much like I'm from England.
Right.
I wasn't born here in Canada, and I grew up in a very conservative family.
Right.
And his dad came to him at about 18 and said, well, Dom, what is it that you're going to do? What are you looking at doing for your life? And Dom said, I want to play drums. And his dad laughed and said, yeah, but what do you really want to do?
Yeah,
and he said, I want to play the drum set. And his dad said, no. He said, that's what you do as a hobby, not as a living.
Yeah.
So Dom said, but that's what I want to do. So his dad said, well, you can't. You got to find something else. So Dom said to him, hey, Dad, you love me, right? And his dad, of course, said, yes, of course I do, Dom. And he said, you want me to be happy, right? And his dad said, yes. He said, I'm happy playing drums. He said, but here's the thing. He said, let's say that I play the drum set and I don't make any money at doing it.
Right.
He said, I still win because I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, but let's say I play the drums and I make money.
Yeah. Now you're happy with.
Now I'm really winning.
Yeah.
Dom, I don't know Dom's financial status, but I'd say he's a multimillionaire now. And he did it through playing drums.
Yeah.
His love and his passion.
So
I'm telling your audience here.
Yeah.
Don't let people tell you that you can't do it.
Fuck
now,
'em.
I would advise you have a backup plan because
Yeah,
you should
sure.
always have backup plans because
Safety
you don't know
net's
what's going to
nice.
happen.
Yeah.
And because the music industry doesn't tend to pay a lot of money anymore. But so what? Be different. Show a different way of doing it. And with the metaverse that we're going into and things like this, what we're looking at in the future is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And what I will say is where robotics and artificial intelligence, especially general artificial intelligence, where it's going to struggle is going to be creativity.
Right.
Sure, you can get a robot to put a tire on a car or a robot to move this box from point A to point B.
Right.
But you can't get a robot to necessarily come up with an original way of making a piece of pottery.
Sure.
That's very, very difficult to do.
Right.
Now, we'll get to a point where they can, but in the interim, that's not the case.
Yeah.
There is what you should be looking at as a musician. Okay, I've got skills that I can bring to the table. And as automation starts replacing all of our jobs, and I'm sorry to tell everyone, this is a real thing. We're all going to lose our jobs because of automation. There's going to be a lot more time on
The
people's...
cyborgs are coming.
Yeah.
Well, I don't go quite that far. But I do go from the perspective that this is a good thing because what it's going to do is it's going to protect people from having to do boring and dangerous work.
Right.
And as we move more into it, what it's just going to mean is it's going to be there's more flexibility and more time to do things that are important to you.
Right.
Because those things will be looked after by
Yeah,
other machines. Well, for those of you who are musicians out there, oh my God, start looking at that what could you do if every day you could get up and play an instrument?
Yeah.
Man,
Because that's going to come.
we've been just talking about that the past couple of weeks, doing the YouTube
Just
channel. and
dreaming,
everything.
right?
Just, we threw a video out. I got to, get stoned and play bass and call it work, man. Like that
You bet.
was awesome. That
It's
was
a dream job.
Yeah,
It's a dream
that
job
was
is what it is.
awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely
so,
awesome.
I'm very, very optimistic. And some people can call me naive. Fine. Hey, all I can go back to is I've been around longer than most of you. I have been in war zones. I've traveled around the world. I know what it's like. Don't kid yourself. I've been in many situations none of you would want to ever be in.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I don't want to be in
But I still remain very positive.
Yeah.
Well, why? Well, because I love music. I love people. I love the world. Yes, I don't like cruelty. I don't like cruelty to animals.
Yeah.
It's something that drives me crazy. But, we have to be careful about generalizing with people. Oh, yeah, all of these people are that. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's just wrong. Everyone is an individual.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Accept them for being an individual until they show you a reason not to trust or like them or whatever.
Exactly.
Then it's totally irrelevant. And that's the same with music.
Yeah.
The number of times I've heard, well, Yngwie Malmsteen is so egotistical. Yeah, maybe he should be because he's one fuck of a guitar player.
That's right.
He's allowed. He's allowed.
Lars Ulrich thinks his mushrooms. Have you met Lars Ulrich? Have you sat down and had a conversation with this guy?
That guy puts the work in.
Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Because you don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
And yes, but I've heard. That's called hearsay.
Yeah.
It means absolutely zero.
Yeah, there's no merit to it at all.
Accept people for who they are. I know many, many great musicians that will never, ever be heard by the vast majority of people.
It's a shame.
It's not because they're not great at what they do. It's just maybe their situation in life hasn't afforded them the opportunity to be there.
Exactly.
That's okay. They still like what they do, and they're making an impact at a local level.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really stress that to your audience.
Yeah.
That impact those around you. Forget about Shea Stadium or Madison Square Gardens. Yeah, aspire to get to that. But what about playing at a local bar? Yeah, so you don't get paid for it. Again, why are you doing this?
Play live at the Whiskey Pit, you know? Come on the show. You know?
Well, how much did I charge you guys to come here
Exactly.
today?
Nothing.
I'm here because I want to be here.
You brought us stuff.
Yeah, you brought us stuff.
No, but I want to be here with you guys because you're fellow musicians.
Yeah.
I love you in the sense that you're my brothers. And my sisters, if you're a female. Maybe, Ben, you self-identify as a woman. So maybe, yes, you're my sister.
A bearded lady.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm a circus. Yeah.
They've been there before. But the thing is I really dislike many musicians who run down other musicians just because they can.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny. I look back in the 1980s when I was a young man, and I liked bands. And again, you can look these up, and you'll get a laugh if you listen to any of the music I'm about to announce. But there's a band called the Flying Lizards, and they did a song called "Money." I like that song. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. But for some reason, I liked it. Yeah. And another one that always comes to mind is a song by a band called Trio called Da Da Da, which is German for because.
Right.
And the words are, you don't love me, I don't love you, because.
Right.
That's essentially the entire song.
Right.
But there's something about it I like.
It's catchy, yeah.
And so why should I run them down? And again, they probably made a few $1 million off that, and I haven't been able to do that.
Exactly.
So who am I to stand in judgment? That's my general feeling on how we get ahead in the attitudinal side as well as the physical side to protect ourselves from the negativity of. And there are negativities of the music industry.
Oh, yes.
There's lots of them. How many musicians have lost their lives early due to drugs?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a drug user, but I understand the appeal of it.
Right.
And if that's your thing, that's fine. You just have to be aware.
Yeah.
You're probably cutting your life short. But if you go into it knowing that, I'm the last person who's going to tell you that you shouldn't do that.
Right.
Plus, there's a lot of things like the legal ramifications and stuff.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And, although fortunately we're becoming more enlightened and easing up and realizing this isn't a criminal behavior, it's a medical behavior.
Right.
So why don't we treat it as a medical issue, not as a criminal issue?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm getting political here, so I'm going to move away from that because if you
good.
drag me down that line, I can talk politics all day long because I just find it really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much got everything out of you that we needed for today's episode.
Great.
Basically getting to know Karl Sloman as a person.
Right.
He's going to do one of Opus Rex's songs, Anubis.
You can buy it any good record. Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
It'll be a drum. It'll be a drum playthrough with Karl Sloman.
Yeah.
Here at the Ryfield Studios, but we will have him back. I think.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Show us a
yeah.
little bit
Me
more
too.
drum technique stuff.
Yes.
Or we could dive into
Anything.
anything. Yeah.
Let's dive into Madonna.
Let's go.
Is she up there somewhere?
Yeah. I
She
think
was up there.
a lot of guys.
That's Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't mind diving into her either.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think a lot of guys have
This has now
dove into
gone
Madonna.
from G-rated to R-rated, and
That's all right.
anyway.
That's.
But
all
yeah,
right.
we'd like to thank you for coming on the show, Karl.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
me.
much,
And,
and thank you for the gifts and everything too. We got
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Some coffee table stuff.
Well, next time, what I'd recommend too, and if we can, get someone on the computer and take questions from the audience if they have any.
Yeah.
But yeah, come up with some questions that you guys might have for me on other things that we can chat about, because as you know from what I've told you, I'm also a music producer.
Right. Yeah.
There's a few more things we haven't discussed, but yeah, I would love to come back and share time with you and your audience. And yeah, make sure people know about this site. And about this YouTube channel. It's important that we support each other.
Yes, exactly.
And even subscribe, ring that bell.
Please.
He's doing all the work for us.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I should, because it shouldn't come from you. It should come from a fellow musician who knows the importance of all of this.
Right.
Thank you.
So yes, the algorithms, we want people to learn more about all of us.
Yes.
And
please.
participate.
Please,
and if you do,
yes.
it just makes for a better environment and a better group with us overall as musicians.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Create a little community within all ourselves,
bet.
right? That's
You
what
bet.
we're trying to do.
It's
here.
really sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry now.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see Karl again soon. Hopefully, we'll talk more about the coordination code. Because
Awesome.
I'm gonna be reading the fuck out of this
And
book.
they did try it, and it did make a difference.
It
so.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't play drums for shit, and I was playing something after 15
Really,
minutes.
He
yeah,
was.
intense.
Yeah.
He
So-
wasn't just playing something simple. He was playing something really
Yeah.
hard that I bet none of you can play.
That I
and
couldn't
he did
play.
it after like 5 minutes.
And I
that
can't.
I couldn't play
yeah.
before he sat down.
But
and
yeah,
tried
we'll
it.
talk more about
Yeah.
that at another time we get together.
But yeah, that was awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
All
And a
right.
shout out to Kirk Geiser.
Yeah,
I just
man.
want to put
Shout
me
out.
on to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Important Kirk.
Thanks, Kirk.
Yeah, I love you, Kirk,
need to,
man.
You need to be known.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Tune up and tune into the next episode, guys.
That's
See you
right.
later.